What is happening, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for an advanced look at the Captain America by Ed Brubaker Omnibus from Marvel Comics. Let's do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this omnibus, but before I do, thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this new printing of the Captain America by Ed Brubaker Omnibus. This new printing is due out in the direct market on January 27th, 2021, and it literally kicks off the 80th anniversary of Captain America. That's right, we are celebrating 80 years of Captain America. But here it is. Actually, let's hold it up so you all can see what the spine looks like. And then the back of the book. Now, I do have the first printing that I'm going to do a comparison with. But before I do, I did want to point out that this is the standard edition omnibus. There is a direct market cover right there on the left-hand side. That is what the direct market cover will look like. Now, I've done an overview of my Ed Brubaker Captain America books. There's a total of 5 of them, and this is the very first one that kicks off this specific storyline. But this is my original printing right here. This is the very first printing, and let's do a little comparison other than the covers. So original printing and new printing, and immediately, of course, really like the fact that this is going to line up better with the other black spines, the white on black spines that made up the rest of the Captain America by Ed Brubaker Omnis. This is the only one that stood out. And then the images in the back of the omnibus. It's a lot different, right? You have actually the pictures that make up each of the covers that are collected in this book. And then over here you have a Winter Soldier image. And then, of course, since this is the first printing, it has this fake leather look to it, but it's blue instead of the black that we're used to seeing. And then the new printing will have art on the board. So you'll have this Steve Epting image here. Okay, so we'll do a little comparison here in a bit, but let's talk about this omnibus. Let's get it opened. Now, some of the contents in here have already been collected in these complete collections that have been coming out in trade paperback format. Of course, these are standard size, and this being oversized. And I'll do a little comparison of that in the artwork here in a second. So let's open this up. We have some red bookend pages. Captain America with the shield logo there. There's Cap by Steve Epting. And the whole thing is written by Ed Brubaker. And here are all the different storylines that are collected in here. And I've gone ahead and done a comparison myself just to see if they added anything, because sometimes they do add artwork. There's an introduction here by Ed Brubaker from 2007, but this is exactly the same printing as the original one. And let's look at some of this art. Again, Steve Epting just firing on all cylinders. I was a fan of his stuff when he was doing the Avengers run with Bob Harris, but when I came back to comics, his art had changed so much. It looks so realistic. But we're going to do a quick little comparison with the complete collection, so you can see a difference in the sizes. Of course, again, this is a standard trade paperback, so it's the size of a comic book. So I've talked about this story a lot. It's one of my favorite Captain America runs. I still don't know which one my favorite one is. It's either between this, Mark Waid's, or Mark Gruenwald's run. But this is Captain America, and it kicks off strong with this storyline called The Winter Soldier. So there's this whole mystery about an assassin, and it has ties to Captain America's past and some of his loved ones from the past. It reintroduces us to the characters of Sin and Crossbones. Of course, there's Red Skull in here, which you've seen. Sharon Carter makes a return. So it has all these things that made Captain America great. And like I mentioned, I go really in depth when I did an overview of all 5 of these books. If you want to check that out, just click on the link above. Now, one of the things I will say is about this book that it feels so real. Like, that's the thing about this wonderful run. I have no idea how Ed Brubaker was able to take these things that he learned writing criminal stories and crime noir books and just put them into a superhero comic. Like, he doesn't miss a beat. He was able to capture that rhythm, that atmosphere. And speaking of atmosphere, there's so many pictures in here from just the backgrounds of Steve Epting's run. Just look amazing in this oversized format. Now, we're going to look at something really quick because I think this is important. And that is this right here. So something happens in the pages here that I don't want to spoil for anybody, but I'm sure most of you all know, that take place immediately after the events of Civil War. Now, they give you a quick little recap page. However, I think if you want to, Civil War doesn't really take that long to read, and it's got beautiful artwork by Steve McNiven. But I think it's important to read before reading, especially the final issue that's collected in here, which is issue 25. Now, I say that final issue, but really the last issue that they have here, and of course censoring the image from the ending of issue 25, but the last issue that's collected in here is issue number 10. Now, that is exactly the same way that the first original printing had it collected. They had issue 10 here, and that's because it's House of M. They didn't want to break the story up, so they put the one story that kind of stood out because it takes place in an alternate reality, and that's the House of M story. This one here is drawn by Lee Weeks. And Steve Epting is not the only artist working on this book. You also have, like I mentioned, Lee Weeks. You have Mike Perkins. But the cool thing about all of this is that it looks like the same artist, mainly because it's all brought together by the phenomenal colors of Frank de Armata. I think that's what puts all of this together so well. Now, there is a 60... Actually, let's talk about what it collects, because this does collect the exact same thing the first Omnibus does, and that is issues 1 through 25 of the 2005 Captain America series, and then the 65th anniversary one-shot special, and the Winter Soldier Winter Kills one-shot. And the 65th anniversary is drawn... There, here we go. By different artists. So you have Javier Pulido, Marcos Martin, and Mike Perkins does the epilogue. But it's artwork like this. But it's also a flashback. Now, as far as extras, and then we'll talk about the binding and do the comparison. There's some spoilers here, so I left this part out. There's an interview here with Ed Brubaker. Here are some promotional artwork and sketches and character designs for the characters of Zin, Winter Soldier, updated looks to some of the characters. This is the Captain America number 6 cover, and then the variant. And that's the cover that you saw on my Omnibus collection from the first printing. Cover sketches, unused cover art, and I gotta be careful in case you haven't read Captain America 25, so I gotta skip a couple of the variants back here. Let's see what else we have. I think there's a script back here, and the script is to Captain America 25, so I better skip that. Looks like there's a handbook. Yeah, here we go. The handbook guide to the Marvel Universe featuring Captain America and his many guises and his many costumes. Cap armor. We don't have an epic of that yet. Wonder when we'll get it. And then the red book and pages. So let's talk about this binding and then do a comparison really quick. So here's the new printing. It does have sewn binding. There's that eye. This is printed at the R. Donnelly printers. And let's do a comparison to the first printing. And here's a comparison to the original printing being on top, new printing being at the bottom. And honestly, the eyes look almost identical, almost the same. This looks a little bit thicker because the paper quality that they used back then is a little bit thicker than what they use in the new printing. Now, let's do some comparisons to see how well they both lay. Okay, so you have the original printing up at the top, the new printing at the bottom, and all I can say right now is good things happen to those that wait, because this is laying a lot better than my first printing. Not that my first printing has any problems, and actually I think I've read it 3 times. So, yeah, it doesn't want to keep that page down. But the new printing, it's laying down fine. Let's keep going with some page comparisons. Original printing, new printing, same pages, and honestly the colors look identical to me. I don't think one is darker than the other. Now, I'm sure this is, you can tell from this angle better, but there is a little more of a gutter loss in the new printing here than here in the original, even though the original one is having a hard time staying opened. Okay, chosen the ending of this page here because it's not much of a spoiler, but maybe in this I noticed that at least on the cover, there's a differences in the way the numbers are on the actual issue. The 19 up there is using a different font than the one down here. And the star is on a blue star with a white outline, whereas that one is just looks like a... Maybe it's blue. Maybe it's because the number's too big. But also, I noticed that the color seems to be a little more vibrant here as far as the fire, the explosion in the background of the original printing than here. But this, I don't know, maybe a little bit more vibrant up here. And of course, that's a different paper that I mentioned earlier. It's a lot thicker. Let's do one more. So the newer printing seems to stay open better than the original printing. Even though the original printing, if you hold it down, has a little bit less gutter loss. You can tell by the whites here between the frames. Whereas this one has a smaller space between frames. But anyway, just wanted to make sure I pointed all that out for you people. Sometimes it bothers people, sometimes it doesn't. But that, as they say, is that. Now, when this omnibus comes out, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online source for collected editions up to 50% off retail price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on excellent packaging, so your stuff gets to you in excellent condition, and they have amazing customer service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And for all you Minties that are watching, if you're a first-time customer, don't forget to mention that Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a promotional credit on free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for US customers. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your source for the hottest books with deep discounts, customer service, and excellent shipping that will keep you coming back for more. And again, that was the content, the page count, the build, and of course the comparison to the original printing of this omnibus. Let me know in those comments down below if you have any more questions. I promise I always get to each of the comments, no matter how long it takes me. And what you think of this run, if you're picking it up. If you missed out on it the first time, if you're hoping they do the entire 5-volume set of Ed Brubaker's Captain America and reprint them. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We can be found on Redbubble and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And more importantly, please everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, and much love to all of you.